watching how this is playing out, it's interesting to actually see some of these assets broke below the trend line, a macro trend line. And right now it's coming back to retest. But at that time, you can see some of these, say for example, this particular one. It was showing I'm trying to break a trend line to the upside. And what happened? Immediately it went up 40-50% for the day. I mean, that was a sharp increase in price action in one asset. It's up 80% for the week. It's up 40% for the day. Right now, standing around $9.56. When we were checking at that, yes, volume was increasing. Yes, the price action was agreeing, and there was just one breakout away. And its local history was similar. Now we've been going through that. We've been checking on that. Some of them looks bad, some of them looks good. So all that you want to watch, it's here in the SR family. Now back to the crypto market. You're watching a lot of these running up. Some has huge volume. Some really do not have that. So it depends on what you want to choose. Some of them are 95% up for the week, but they lack volume. They have $1,000 on liquidity front right now, whereas some of them have 30 million. That's a decent volume for the 24-hour volume comparison on this instant. Now, when you run through the market to find those, watch the price action when there is a lot of volume. If there is no volume, price action usually does not work. When there is a lot of volume, high probability things usually work. Now, let's look at what Bitcoin sees, because that is primary for everything. When Bitcoin bounce 1 or 2%, you get to see a lot of these alts going up substantially. Yeah. So the micro bounce of Bitcoin from $99,000 all the way up to $107,000, $108,000, that kind of worked out. Now think about it. On a shorter horizon, you saw that coming back up to 0.5, 0.61, the golden region of retracement. And after that, if you actually plot that, what you will actually see is the fact that this asset had another drop, which was till this point. Right now, you're at 0.5. So if you do get rejected at that point, it's not a surprise. It's what this asset usually does. Now, that's a daily chart. Daily chart also argues that the MACD is trying to cross to the upside. So I jump on. I go on to a 3-day chart to see if that agrees with the daily. And a three-day chart actually says, no, not yet, in the negative territory. And usually in the negative territory, when I enter there, just when I'm entering there, the pump which comes into the market to test the moving average, yes, that comes. Yes, it is true that I come back to retest the region, but I go for a new low. Good. So the retest of the region is where you're almost very close to that. But the moving average is not. Yes, you came up to close to 108 and moving average is close to 110. But that's still pending. So on a shorter horizon, you still have a possibility that the price of Bitcoin may move 1 or 2% to the upside. Yeah, giving altcoins some room. But at this point, you'll have to understand that the weekly will play out its role. And that's way more important than the majority think it is. For example, you're looking at the weekly Bitcoin chart, it's below moving average. That's not a good trend. It's still above in the positive territory for MACD, but not in the RSI. So there's mixed indicators coming out saying, okay, this is not where you judge a direction and go for it. So you're like, okay, let me look at the total alt market. Alt market is taking a support on this long-term trend line. That's a good thing. At one point, you were breaking that, but then you came back up. So the weekly close above this becomes a critical part of this cycle. But then you see the 3-day chart showing you, okay, watch. There is something like this. 2 candle continuation pattern. You know, usually you say falling 2, rising 2, like that. But this usually is a pullback before it goes back down. So if that's true, then you have 2 liquidity regions to come back and test. One is here. Another one is here. So the first region, it's not that deep, but the next one is so deep from where we are now, right? So if you actually look at this region, you want to see a rejection to this point. That is okay. Yeah, you'll be forming a cup and handle on a macro. Maybe it's good. Now you come back, say, pick up individual assets. Say this is XRP. What is it doing? On a 3-day, it's just coming back to the trend line. On a weekly, it still has some room to reach the trend line. Yeah, can come back up to 2.9 just to retest that phase. 3-day chart also argues the fact that we are below in MACD region. We are below in RSI region. So usually any of these pull back up, it gets sold out. Yeah, someone from somewhere comes in to take advantage of that. Let's say you pick individual assets. You want to actually look at different segments. This is Cardano. We'll move it from Heikin back into Japanese candlesticks. And this is what you see. This is your support region, which is good. You took the liquidity in here. But usually when you take the liquidity, you come back down to test that. Now, how do you look at the trend in between? Because that is important. Now that you have two trend lines, the retracement can be bigger too. Yeah, this is your drop. This is your primary micro trend line. But remember, you have one big drop here for which your retracement can be up to this point. That you actually did that. That's not small. Which kind of gives you the basic idea like, okay, watch that. If it's breaking, you can directly go up to this point. Now, if an asset like Cardano can run up 30% to reach that trend line before it gets rejected, some of the medium to small caps can do that as well. They may have bigger ROIs. Say you look at the one we were talking about before, that's Uni. Now watch this. We actually look at this, the break. Yeah, it came very close to the target one, but you still have a couple of targets at the higher end. So when you actually remove all of this noise to see what the big picture shows you, this is a general trend line for this asset where it's been trending up all this time from 2022. So that is a good thing that you're not giving up that trend line support. Now you look at the previous region of support, which turned into a resistance. So that is close to your target one. Good, perfect. Now, if you break that, you have a couple of supply zones in this asset that should be your next targets. Because if you come there and get rejected, that's a bad story. You can come back down to retest this bottom. If not, you have a long way. You can directly go back up, test the all-time highs. That's another 100% from that perspective. Yeah. Now, you want the MACD on a 3-day, it's crossing to the upside. That's a good note. It says any drop after that is a corrective leg and you have another push to the upside. Now, if you're like a pattern guy, you're mostly focused on another trend line or the breakout, which is this. Yeah, you're at that point now. And your measured move at the point would be like this. You would be measuring this pattern to the upside, saying there is another 250% plus if you break this region and retest and bounce. That means you're literally plotting that to the upside, saying, yeah, the macro target is valid. You can get that. Just what you have to wait for is a break, a retest, and a bounce. Now, usually when you have such a break, you already have a retracement. So you break, you retest, you go, you break this, you retest, you bounce. This is where you get the confirmation that it's going to do another 200% from there. So watch the market closely because it can do a lot of things. Watch the MACD cross. Say daily, if it's crossing to the upside, you have something on the shorter horizon. Say weekly, if it's crossing to the downside, that says you are looking to sell any of these rallies to the upside. So depending upon what your time frame is, if you are there for next 24, 48 hours, you are looking at daily. If you're there for next 3 days, 3 weeks, yeah, obviously you're looking at a 3-day. If you're there for a few weeks to months, you're looking at weekly. So depending on that, your action changes. If you're on a weekly, basically you're plotting this trend line, you're waiting for the price to come up here to short. If you're on daily, 12-hour, 4-hour, you're looking for a bounce to get in. So if you plot this, say for example, this becomes your accumulation region. Yeah, this is your reaccumulation region. Any break from here, retest and a bounce, you get in. Now your targets are smaller on a smaller horizon. Your targets are bigger on a bigger horizon. So here, if you're long, that's just 9 to 10%. Now, those who are shorting a rejection from this point, they're looking for a 20% to the downside. That is different. Yeah, the ROI is different on different horizons. So wait there, understand what the market is doing. Say you want to combine multiple indicators with this, it's okay. You can do all of that. But understand, when you're on a macro horizon, it gives you better perspective. So the Bitcoin dominance doing this retracement and then bouncing to the upside may kick alts. Majority of them, those who are going up with Bitcoin, good, they will go up. Fine. Those who have highly correlated movements right now with Bitcoin, they will push the price to the upside.